With Zach LaVine and Vooch playing at an all-star level, it is going to make it tougher now for the Chicago Bulls as they try to pick a direction for their franchise. We're going to be talking about the recent play with Zach LaVine and Vooch and why it is going to be tough for the Chicago Bulls. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so we're talking about the recent resurgence with Zach LaVine and Vooch and why it is now going to make it tougher on this front office to make the right move for this franchise. And so let's go ahead and just jump into the numbers with both players because they have been playing outstanding. I think that both players have definitely gotten back to an all-star level. And I think that both players came into this season just wanting to prove that they still have it. And I love that they've been locked in and they've been doing it in the team concept. So they haven't gone outside of the team concept, and they've really been locked in trying to affect these games, and they're doing it, and they're helping this team get to winning basketball. And so let's go into just some of the numbers here. So to start off with what Vooch and LaVine have done thus far, they were part of history last night. This is the 8th time in NBA history a trio of teammates have each recorded 25 points, 5+ three-pointers in the same game. And so this just lets you know just how well these guys have been playing offensively. And starting with Vooch, look, 6 three-pointers made. Last season, he shot 29%. This year, he is shooting 48%. That is a huge difference this year. And I love the fact that Vooch is going inside, and his game now is focused more on the inside out versus the outside in. So I like the fact that he has reversed that. And I was worried with Vooch this year. Coming into this year, I didn't know how he was going to fit in with this high-paced offense. He had confidence in the media day, and he's played very well. And I think that because Vooch has established his post presence, it really helps the Chicago Bulls, and they have relied on him, especially when the three-point shot is not going down. I think that they're starting to trust Vooch a lot more, and I think that they are seeing that when you go down into Vooch, if he doesn't have it, he is a willing passer as well. So if you cut off of him, that is going to lead to easier buckets. And so that has been huge for the Chicago Bulls. And with Zach LaVine, what I love most about him is that he has been effective just playing off of other players. And I think that he's playing with a great pace right now. Both of these players had the narratives coming into this season that they could not be moved. With Vooch, it was because of the down year. With LaVine, it was because of the injuries and just could he play off of others. And he has shown that. Both have shown that. And I love just a stat that I found here in Bleacher Nation about the usage rate for both of these players. Right now with Zach LaVine, he's at his lowest usage rate since he joined the Chicago Bulls. And with Vooch, look, he is at the second lowest in his career since he's been in the NBA as far as usage rate. So the usage rate has not been high for these players, but both of these players have been super impactful for the Chicago Bulls, which means this, that both have went ahead and they've elevated now their trade value. And we're not hearing that narrative anymore about, they can't be moved. And so this is going to lead to a critical decision for the Chicago Bulls, and especially with Zach LaVine. I think that, Zach LaVine was a player that I was wondering with the contract, and maybe the injury history, I was thinking maybe it's going to take a little bit more time for him to be moved. But now, with the way that he's been scoring the basketball, I think that a team is going to want to go get him. Maybe they might want to get him before they get Vooch right now, because when you look at this and what he's doing, he just passed Artis Gilmore, but right now he has 259 points on the season, and that the next person ahead of him has 400, or they're 480 points ahead. And so, look, there's a chance that Zach LaVine may even go up this scores list while why he's still in the Chicago Bulls uniform. So that just lets you know just how well he is doing and just how effective he has been. And like I said, picking his spots, because in this Detroit Pistons game, he scored 18 points in the fourth quarter. He literally had a 12-0 run himself, and that was essentially the game. Like, he put away the game in the fourth quarter. He put away all the comeback attempts from the Detroit Pistons because he had it going. And so I've liked this, and I think defensively he's been active. And so with that being said, this is going to be tough for the Chicago Bulls, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the front office now because their trade value is up. And I can imagine that as they continue to play, it's going to go up even more, which means now there's going to be more pressure on AK and this front office to get it right. And this is where we wonder as Chicago Bulls fans what this front office is going to do. Because personally, I'm not sure that I trust them, because this is what they generally do. They usually hold on to trade assets longer than they should, and we don't get the value back on the trade. Or they're going to rush into a trade, and I think that they may not be thinking about the long-term future of the roster. And that's where you get into this situation now where, because they haven't picked a direction with this roster and they're in between, hey, we're trying to win and then we're trying to develop, I think that that's where you make a trade that you get back some pieces that maybe don't go with your younger pieces. And so the longer that AK in this front office waits to make a trade, well, then that's going to be tougher for the younger pieces that you may build around. And so that means that if you are to move LaVine and Vooch, and let's say that you are geared towards, building around Josh Giddey, who knows? But if you are, it would probably be best that you go ahead and you make a deal sooner rather than later. So then this way you get a chance to see how these young pieces are going to gel together. And that also means that now, with players like Modest Buzelis, they absolutely must be playing because they're super important to what you're trying to build. And so this is something that I think that with every game that the players play better with LaVine and Vooch, it's going to put that much more pressure on AK. And this is something that he has to think about. And I'm not sure that we've seen this with AK and really building this team out, because we know that the roster construction has been questionable. And I think that if you rush off and you make a trade and you bring back some veterans that you know are not going to be a part of your future, what you're doing essentially is you're running it back. You essentially are doing the same thing over and over again. And I can see that with AK in this front office, that they could make a deal that is going to be more of a win now situation instead of taking a couple steps back to take 10 steps forward. And so I think that that is most important here. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about the recent play from Zach LaVine and Vooch. Do you feel like, yes, this is absolutely going to put some major pressure on the front office to get this right? Or do you feel like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Either way, we're still going to try to compete right now, and we're totally not going to pay attention to the development of the players, which would then cost us to really construct a roster that is poor and will not be able to eventually be a contender. And then that leads to the patented, you guessed it, the merry-go-round, where we're going round and round with the same stuff over and over here. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you are thinking. And so I just want to thank everybody out there for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the content. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season ends here. And so I just want to continue to encourage you to go ahead and mash that subscribe button, as about 70% of you that watch are not subscribed. And so anyhow, go ahead, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And so even though we are probably headed towards going around this merry-go-round again, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.